Welcome to Walk in the Park. My name is Tony Ingram, and this is episode 95 on January 14th, recorded. And we're going to move around the country in this show. We're going to look at a lot of different parks, national parks, state parks, wildlife refuges, and things like that. Some of it in the winter, most of it in the winter, actually, so it should be interesting. I actually have a Facebook page, which you might want to check out, called Walk in the Park. Where I look for interesting photographs, sometimes videos from national parks and so forth around the country, and I post them. So here are some of the ones that we have, I should say, selected. But first I'm going to go take a look at, we're going to take a look at the frozen landscape around Ithaca a little bit. Here is Buttermilk Creek, clogged with ice. And this is along, if you walk along the rim trail, which is open from the upper park, you walk down a little ways, you can look over the fence into the gorge. Now the gorge itself, gorge trail is closed. It's got ice all over the trail. You don't want to go down there. You can have a serious, dangerous fall. And we don't want you to get hurt. But I'm going to turn this into a very short video clip here that we'll take a look at. So just stand by. Not a good day to go walking in the creek bed. So we're going to take a look at another waterfall, in this case, Ithaca Falls, which yesterday was really cold. This was about 10 degrees, I don't know, it was about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And that would have been Tuesday the 13th, I think. And look how much is covered with ice. We have a little video clip of that as well. So let's take a look. I didn't stay in there very long. I went in there, I wanted to get a picture of the ice on the falls, but it was so cold. I took my gloves off and, handle the camera. I was like, oh man, I was really cold hands. And then this family's, I offered to take their picture, so I had my gloves off of their hands. Oh my God, I had to get out of there. So a little warmer today. It's up in the high 20s, almost 20 degrees warmer than it was yesterday. Okay, but this morning it was -8. So now we're going to go around New York State a little bit, some of the amazing parks around New York. We're going to go up the Adirondacks, Lake George, which is in Adirondack Park. And this is a picture from a little town, a little village called Bolton's Landing, which is north of the village of Lake George. And look at the vapor coming off the lake. You see that on Cayuga Lake a lot too when it's really super cold. I haven't gotten out early in the morning on these frigid mornings. I imagine it was like this actually today. And seeing the vapor come off. Now that's not steam, that is the lake is warmer than the air when it's really frigid. So water vapor is coming off, cooling off the lake and immediately going to ice crystals and icy mist. And when that blows against the shore, maybe on the trees and stuff, you get this frost feathers or hoarfrost. So now we're going to bop over to the Catskills in Catskill Mountains in Catskill Park. And this was from a Facebook page, actually, from a woman that has a Facebook page called Hiking Chick, and she and her family and friends go all over, particularly New York State, but other states as well, hiking. Seems like every weekend, and they put up all these amazing pictures. And I've been in these mountains. This is from, let's see, I think it was the. Oh, I got some notes here. I think that's this Balsam Mountain. Let's see, Catskills, yeah. Balsam and Panther Mountains, which is up near Slide Mountain, if you know where that is, in Ashokan Reservoir area. These are the views from Balsam and Panther Mountain. I don't think these are Balsam and Panther, and I couldn't tell you exactly what peaks they are, but there's some substantial mountains in the eastern and northeastern Catskills that if you drive along Route 17 towards New York, you don't see this kind of landscape. So there's some pretty substantial mountains. Then we're going to drop into a little to the south of that, Minnewaska State Park, and it has some lakes in the top of these mountains, and there's a hotel up there that people like to go to a lot. So anyway, a picture from Minnewaska State Park, and finally we will go to the Adirondacks again, and this is near Lake Placid. Many people know this view if they've climbed up this little mountain called Mount Joe, which is about a 700-foot steep climb above what's called, you might understand why this is called Heart Lake, in the shape of the heart. So this is the headquarters of the, well, it's not the headquarters, but it is the Adirondack Lodge, which is owned by the Adirondack Mountain Club, which is just to the left of the lake in the woods. And it's a place to go into the high peaks of the Adirondacks. The mountain on the right is one of my favorite. It's called Algonquin Peak on Mount McIntyre, second highest mountain in the state. Something like 5,114 feet or something. And then in the middle, in the background there, is Mount Colden. And then finally on the left, the highest mountain in the state, Mount Marcy, 5,344 feet, so more than a mile above sea level. You really need winter gear to get up there. I have, when I was young, did some winter camping up in there, but I haven't been up that mountain in a long time. So now we're going to go out of the state and look at some other places. We're going to pop down to West Virginia. This is a little town called Harper's Ferry National Historic Park, and see what I can say about that. This was the place where you may know from your history that the abolitionist John Brown, he had a showdown with federal troops here. This was just before the Civil War, and he was going and liberating slaves by force from slaveholders in the eastern states, and of course this was illegal, so they had a showdown with him. He was actually hanged here, but it became a National Historic Park some years ago. There's a little bit of snow on it, but it's right at the confluence of the Shenandoah River on the right, and on the left is coming in the Potomac River. So it's quite a dramatic spot, and on those ridges on either side, the Appalachian Trail across. It comes down from the right and goes up on the left, and there's actually a pretty neat youth hostel in that area that on the other side of the river, north of Potomac, that I've stayed in a few times when I've been hiking in the area. Okay, now we'll go over to, let's see, where are we going here now? This is Franconia Notch State Park in New Hampshire. So those are the White Mountains of New Hampshire. And that's a little lake there, Lonesome Lake it's called, looking up to the Franconia Ridge, which is, the Presidential Range is the most famous range in the White Mountains, but the second most famous is the Franconia Ridge, and that rises up to Mount Lincoln and Mount Lafayette, and they're over 5,000 feet high, and definitely winter mountaineering territory if you're going to go up there. Then we'll pop down to, let's see, where are we going from here? Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee and North Carolina, right on the border there. And let's see, what did they say? This was December 12th. The previous picture in New Hampshire was January 9th. December 12th, sunny weather is back after a week of gray skies, and there's a light dusting of snow on the higher peaks of the Smokies. So they get up over 6,000 feet, some of the highest mountains in the eastern U.S. Okay, let's go to the west. Boom, we'll go out to Rocky Mountain National Park. This is equipped for snow. This is what they wrote. Posted January 4th. Snowshoe hares' large hind feet act as snowshoes. helping them to maneuver on top of the snow with ease and sometimes help them escape from foxes, coyotes, and mountain lions. Excuse me there. Alrighty, so let's do some more wildlife. This is in Wyoming. The Seeds Cadee and Cokeville Meadows National Wildlife Refuges, and this is a short-eared owl. You can see those around here in the winter as well. If you know where to look, you can pay attention to the bird listservs. Short-eared owl perches on by a Wyoming big sagebrush, waiting for a sagebrush vole, cottontail rabbit, or other prey to show itself. A bird of open landscapes, the short-eared owl is one of the most widely distributed owls in the world. It is found across North America, South America, and Eurasia, and on many oceanic islands. It hunts day and night, mainly at dawn and dusk in winter, flies low over the open ground, locating prey by ear, kills prey with a bite to the back of the skull, often swallows prey whole. And I've seen those flying over fields in, say, up in Seneca County where there's a lot of fields. Short-eared owl populations. Why do they call it a short-eared owl? You can see there's little bumps on the top of its head, which are their tufts, ear tufts. And they're not really ears, they're feathers. But there's long-eared owls, this is a short-eared owl. Short-eared owl populations declined by 2.5% per year between 1966 and 2010, resulting in a cumulative decline of 67% according to the North American Breeding Bird Survey. Partners in Flight estimates a global breeding population of 3 million, with 14% spending some part of the year in the U.S., 11% in Canada, and 3% wintering in Mexico. Okay, so this 2014 State of Birds report listed them as common bird in steep decline. So this is our national wildlife refuges are absolutely vital for the survival of our wildlife. Habitat for them. Pop down. Let's get away from this cold weather. We're going to go down to Florida. This Florida is in Castillo de San Marcos National Monument, which is a Spanish fort that still stands. That it's made out of this funny stone. What's it called? A cochina stone or something like that. That is made of seashells. It was made back, I think, in the 1500s. And it's in the city of St. Augustine. It's one of the big sites that people go see. A pretty neat place to visit. And so this was one morning. Good morning, January 6th, it said. Oh, wouldn't that be nice with a palm tree up there? So, okay, so we popped around a little bit. We're going to now really go farther afield where winter is really serious business. Let's go to Alaska. January 7th. Denali National Park and Preserve, where Mount McKinley is the tallest mountain in North America, over 20,000 feet. They have a sled dog team that goes through the park through the winter and, surveys the park, looks for problems. It's just basically park supervision in the sense, and if there's somebody out there in trouble, they can help. And you can follow the progress of the sled dog team on their website, and each day you can see where they've gone. So that's kind of neat. And let's see another picture here. Well, here's a wolf. Now, this is probably not in the winter. This is also in Denali National Park. A wolf stretches in Denali National Park and Preserve. National Park Service estimates that about 50 wolves inhabited the park in 2014. And that's a really big park. It doesn't seem like a lot of wolves, does it? All right, let's go take a look at another wild animal. This is also in Alaska. There's a grizzly bear. It's waving at us, it appears, but almost looks like a stuffed bear somewhere. But this was posted by National Parks Conservation Association. Did you know that approximately 1,850 grizzly bears exist in the lower 48 states, and there are about 30,000 grizzlies in Alaska? Nonetheless, they're considered, I guess, an endangered species, and I don't know. I'll have to talk about grizzly bears, but so that's Alaska. Well, let's see where we're going to go next. Or let's go to the upper Mississippi River. Get myself more centered in the screen here. Here's a cool picture of two bald eagles staring each other down, as it were. in the Upper Mississippi Wildlife and Fish Refuge located in 4 states along the Mississippi: Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois. I've never been to this place. I've never been to Denali National Park either. The refuge encompasses one of the largest blocks of floodplain habitat in the lower 48 states, bordered by steep wooded bluffs that rise 100 to 600 feet above the river valley. The Mississippi River Corridor and Refuge offers scenic beauty and productive fish and wildlife habitat unmatched in the heart of America. It's a photo of a mature and a juvenile bald eagle by Stan Busan of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Okay, so it takes 4 or 5 years for a bald eagle to get its adult plumage. Both the males and the females look the same. All right, pretty cool. Sitting on the ice there. Oh, it looks like the adult eagle has a prey of some sort. I don't know, was it a fish or something, or a roadkill that pulled out there, probably a fish. And the young eagle is hoping to get some of that, maybe. Okay, let's pop down. We're going to go to Ozark. We're going to Missouri. All right. The beautiful red wolf was Missouri's native wolf, not the better-known gray wolf. They have not been seen in Missouri for many years, and populations in North Carolina are the result of captive breeding wolf recovery programs. There are rumors that some may remain in the wild Louisiana bayous. This is in the Ozark National Scenic Riverway, or riverways, I guess it's plural. All right, I've never been there either. Neat places. Okay, so now we're going to go to Minnesota. We're going to look at a little bit of environmental history. Boom, take a look at that. That's in Superior National Forest near Duluth, Minnesota. This picture was posted on January 8th, but obviously it wasn't taken then. Big pine logging, as I assume that means white pines, began on Superior National Forest in the 1890s and continued in the 1920s. That's about when it ended, early 1890s, in the Adirondacks, for instance, when they created the Adirondack Park and Preserve. This photograph illustrates 2 loggers using a crosscut saw. You ever try one of those? I've cut with them. A lot of work to cut through a large white pine about 1890s. We used to have logs. We used to have white pines around here that were that big. Amazing. The Border Lakes region presented challenges to logging companies for accessing and harvesting timber, which left much of the region untouched until the 1890s. Early logging, as seen in this photo, was accomplished by river-driving logs, but as timber near rivers depleted, railroad logging became more common. Frozen ground conditions in the winter steered the logging industry to build ice roads, which then provided greater access to timber stands. The big pine logging years explains why we don't see timber this large anymore around the Superior National Forest. Well, that's true here, of course. And I think up in the Adirondacks it did a lot of winter logging as well, and other places in the north. So we lost our big white pines. There's a few of them left. They're basically relics, and I don't like to see those cut anymore because they're beautiful trees, but also they're incredible eagle nesting habitat. They need the tall trees that stand above the other trees so they can see around and see what's going on, see where their prey might be, blah, blah, blah. Let's go to the Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon, okay, on this day, this was posted on the 12th, which a couple of days ago. On this day in 1902, after 8 days on the road, the first automobile reached the south rim from Flagstaff, Arizona. The first automobile, they plan to do it in a few hours. It's about, I don't know, 65, 70 miles, depends. Now I think it's about a 77-mile drive. But, you know, quite a bit across the desert, and back then a very rough road, I'm sure. Would have been a horse road, a wagon road they went on. And they ran into all kinds of car problems and even had to be hauled along at times by, there were people on horses going with them. This is not that exact thing, but this was in the area at the time. Horses out there, cowboys out there rescuing cars. But that doesn't mean people weren't getting to the Grand Canyon. There was already a railroad there. There were already hotels there. People got there any way they could. But that was the beginning. When was that? Say that 1902. So 113 years ago, the first automobile made it to the Grand Canyon. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But in any case, here's a shot that was also posted by the Grand Canyon Association, as the other pictures were. And this picture was taken by Wilhelm van Breda from the Netherlands and posted by them. So now we'll go to a couple of other places. This one is a totally different theme. The Selma to Montgomery National Historic Trail. I forget how many miles this is. I don't know, 60 miles or something. So we know the film Selma has come out and is getting rave reviews, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Well, did you know we have a National Historic Trail of this historic civil rights march that became so famous? We'll stay in the south here. We'll go over to Louisiana. This is the Jean Lafitte National Historical Park and Preserve. This is, let's see, January 8th. Though it looks calm now, that's a great big old live oak. It looks like an amazing tree. Though it looks calm now, on this day 200 years ago, this would have been the scene of the battle that would decide not only the fate of New Orleans, so the Battle of New Orleans, but of America. Today we gather to commemorate those who fought here and celebrate their legacy. Battle of New Orleans, I understand, or New Orleans was fought after the war was actually over, but the word hadn't gotten back to everybody that United States and Britain had signed a treaty. So, but it's famous story. Now we're going to go to Massachusetts. Let's see, we'll go to Massachusetts. This is actually posted by the Montezuma, Friends of Montezuma Wildlife Complex, Wetlands Complex at the northern end of Cayuga Lake, which is surrounds the U.S. Fish and Wildlife's refuge, the Montezuma National Wildlife Refuge. This, however, is a picture of the Assabet River National Wildlife Refuge in Sudbury, Massachusetts, and encompasses 3.5 square miles. And it's mainly a wetland area. Has a large wetland complex, several smaller wetlands, and vernal pools and a large forested area. It was important for feeding and breeding areas for migratory ducks and other wildlife. And it has trails and so forth. Well, they had a neat little video they posted this past year, which I have making available for you. So we'll look at this video here in a sec. That's called a Blanding's turtle. I've never seen one. They're an endangered species, and they're across, I guess, the Great Lakes and up in New York and into New England too. And that appeared to be a release of a turtle into the refuge. So that's what it appeared to be. I couldn't find out on the website just exactly what was going on there, but it's definitely an endangered species. So it's kind of cool to get to see that. Well, we'll pop over to Arizona. Saguaro National Park around Tucson. Had a little bit of snow on New Year's Day. So let's take a look at that. Looks like I lost my information about that. Anyway, we're going to have a little video from Saguaro. We call it saguaro. It looks like saguaro, but it's pronounced saguaro. In fact, in Mexico, they don't use a G, they use an H. But we're going to look at a little video, really cool little video of some mountain lions. I just put a picture of that little guy jumping. There's a kitty. Do you want to see that again? Let's look at that again. Very cute. Very cute. Well, they have these wildlife cams out there, and here's another one. Let's take a look at this one. They act a lot like a house cat, don't they? In fact, my understanding is that mountain lions are really more closely related to our house cats than they are to, say, African lions, although they're not that closely. But you can see the behavior is very much like your cat. So, and there's another picture. We're getting down to the end here. Another picture of a cat in Joshua Tree National Park, east of, well, in California, east of the mountains there, east of L.A. and that sort of thing. Joshua Tree National Park. Park visitor Alex Wood sent us this picture of a bobcat lounging around on a boulder outside Ryan Mountain Campground last week. January 8th, this was posted. Lounging is the perfect word. This bobcat looks so relaxed and at ease, it is almost makes me wonder if it was basking in the sun after a nice meal. Bobcats are skilled hunters that can catch speedy prey like the desert cottontail rabbit and the black-tailed jackrabbit. One challenge of being a carnivore, though, is that their prey never wants to get eaten. Bobcats don't get to be too picky. They'll also catch small rodents, birds, and sometimes even bats. Okay, well, that's pretty much it. We have time for. I had other things to show, but, I figured I'd run out. So thanks for joining me on this mid-January day, cold weather, and we'll see you next time.